Hi, my friends. Welcome to my beer vision. If you're following China news recently and closely enough, you will find that the headlines of every social media are filled with this topic: Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan and the following Chinese army's exercises around the island of Taiwan. Who is Nancy Pelosi? She is the House Speaker of the United States and is seen as the number 3 political leader of the United States, while Taiwan, a small island that has been both separate from and claimed by mainland China for over 70 years. What's the true story behind the two sides? Follow me and I'm giving you answers. Look, where is Taiwan Strait? Take a look at the map. The Taiwan Strait is a strait separating the island of Taiwan and mainland China. The strait connects to the South China Sea to the south and connects to the East China Sea to the north. The nearest part between Taiwan and mainland China is 130 km wide, while the widest part is 400 km wide. Let's travel back through history to see the root of all this ongoing turmoil. From 1946 to 1949, a civil war broke out between the Chinese Communist Party and the then ruling government of the Republic of China. In 1949, with the Chinese Civil War turning decisively in favor of the Communist Party, the Republican government retreated from mainland to Taiwan, establishing a provisional capital in Taipei, while the Communist Party proclaimed the People's Republic of China in Beijing. No armistice or peace treaty has ever been signed, so the Civil War has never ended, legally speaking. Here I want to add a critical but often omitted point. Legally speaking, there has never been a so-called country of Taiwan. You see, in 1949, the Republican government relocated to Taiwan Island, but it never changed its name right until today. As you can see, the national flag remains unchanged neither. So Taiwan itself never declared any form of independence. But as the definition of two Chinas has never been accepted by neither side, so colloquially, people often refer to the Republican government after 1949 simply as Taiwan, while for mainland China, the official wording has never changed and remains such: Chinese Taiwan. Since 1949, the relations between the two governments in Beijing and Taipei have been characterized by limited contact, tensions, and instability. In the early years, 1950s, military conflicts continued. Meanwhile, diplomatically, both governments competed to be the sole legitimate government of China. Since the democratization of Taiwan in the late 1980s, the question regarding the status of Taiwan has shifted to a critical choice. What choice? A choice between unification with China or independence. But across the strait over there, there's no such choice. For mainland China, there is zero reason for it to accept any form of Taiwan not belonging to China. Not belonging to the People's Republic of China. The mainland China remains hostile to any form of declaration of Taiwanese independence and maintains its claim over the entire region of Taiwan until today. So how did this tension really happen? In 1994, the president of Taiwan, Mr. Lee Teng-hui, his plane had stopped in Honolulu, Hawaii, to refuel. He applied for a visa to enter the city of Honolulu. The United States President Bill Clinton refused Lee's request for a visa. Lee had been confined to the military airfield where he landed, forcing him to spend a night on his plane. A U.S. State Department official called the situation embarrassing, and Lee complained that he was being treated as a second-class leader. To be honestly speaking, I think he is quite right about it. In any definition, Taiwan is not a rightly recognized country, so he is indeed a second-class leader. Sorry for Lee. But Lee didn't stop his efforts. In 1995, Lee accepted an invitation from his alma mater, the renowned University of Cornell, to deliver a speech. So, seeking to diplomatically isolate Taiwan, mainland China opposed such visits by any Taiwanese leader, as usual. After Li had decided to visit Cornell this time, like the previous year, the U.S. Secretary of State assured the Chinese Foreign Minister that a visit for Li, quote, inconsistent with the U.S. unofficial relationship with Taiwan. This is a solid assurance given by U.S. to China. However, a year time has changed so many things at minds. The humiliation from Li's last visit caught the attention of many pro-Taiwan figures in the United States, and this time the U.S. Congress acted on Li's behalf. In May 1995, a concurrent resolution asking the State Department to allow Li to visit the U.S. passed the Congress. The State Department relented. Li spent a night in June at a Cornell alumni reunion. I'm not sure whether the speech was great, but what Li did at Cornell was not something normal. It's a milestone. It broke the practice that the highest official of Taiwan had not visited the United States for 17 years, since U.S. established formal relations with China in 1979. So the Chinese government, as you can imagine, was furious over Li's visit to the United States. The Chinese state press branded him as a traitor attempting to split China. What's more, Chinese were agitated over the U.S. policy reversal. The pre-assurance given by State Secretary was nothing but a joke. On 7th July 1995, mainland China responded. The China's Xinhua News Agency announced the missile tests will be conducted by the People's Liberation Army, and argued that the Li and the United States attitude would endanger the peace and the safety of the region. The tone is very serious now. At the same time, the mainland China mobilized the forces in its Fujian provinces, its closest province to the island of Taiwan. In the later part of July and early August, numerous commentaries were published by Xinhua and the People's Daily, condemning Li and his frustrated policy. Another set of missile firing, accompanied by live ammunition exercises, occurred from August 15th to 25th. After this naval exercise in August, in November, highly publicized amphibious assault exercise followed the suit. What does China want to do? The U.S. government responded immediately. It staged the biggest display of American military might in Asia since the Vietnam War. In July, USS assault ship Battlewood transited the Taiwan Strait. Finally, the USS aircraft carrier Nimitz and her battle group passed through the strait. President Clinton ordered additional ships into the region. In March 1996, two aircraft carrier battle groups, carrier group centered on USS Independence and Nimitz, were present in the region. The Nimitz and her battle group sailed through the Taiwan Strait. The crisis forced the Chinese leadership in 1996 to acknowledge its inability to stop U.S. forces from coming to Taiwan's assistance. However, the end of 1995 didn't end up this crisis. 1 year later, the next year, in 1996, Beijing intended to send a message to the Taiwanese electors. Hi, dear Taiwanese fellows, we know you are going to have the presidential election. Here's a kind reminder for you. Voting for Li Cheng-hui as president meant war. Days before the election, from March 8th to March 15th, a third set of POA tests sent missiles within 46 kilometers, just inside the Taiwan's territorial waters, off the ports of Keelung and Kaohsiung. Over 70% of commercial shipping passed through the targeted ports, which were disrupted by the tests. Flights to Japan, trans-Pacific flights, were prolonged by 10 minutes because airplanes needed to detour away from the flight path. Ships traveling between Kaohsiung and Hong Kong had to take a 2-hour detour. On 8th March 1996, also a presidential election year in the United States, President Clinton announced it was deploying the USS Independence carrier battle group to international waters near Taiwan. From March 12th to 20th, mainland China conducted live fire exercises near Penghu Islands. Just take a look at the Penghu Islands, and you will realize how close it is to Taiwan. Actually, the Penghu Islands are the last perimeter of Taiwan. Throughout the Taiwan's history, once the Penghu Islands are breached, there will be no possibility for Taiwan to defend itself. On March 11th, the U.S. dispatched carrier group Nimitz. Tensions rose further from March 18th to 25th, when Beijing simulated an amphibious assault on an island in Fujian province. So sending 2 carrier battle groups showed not only a symbolic gesture towards Taiwan, but a readiness to fight on the part of the United States. The Taiwan government welcomed America's support, but the mainland China decried foreign intervention. During the military exercises in March, there were preoccupations in Taiwan that the mainland China would occupy some small islands controlled by Taiwan, causing panic among many citizens. They are afraid of war. Of course, every normal civilian should be afraid of any kind of war. Therefore, many flights from Taiwan to the United States and Canada were canceled. The outlying islands were placed on high alert. So, what's the final result of this crisis? The answer is nothing. All of a sudden, it's over. On March 23rd, Lee Teng-hui was elected as the president, and 2 days later, Chinese Liberation Army wrapped up its military drills. Nothing else happened afterwards. The crisis was over. But do you think it was really over? No, never. Aware of U.S. Navy carrier battle groups' incredible threats to the Chinese Navy, China decided to accelerate its military buildup. Soon in December 1996, during a visit to Moscow by Chinese Premier Li Peng, China ordered Sovereignty-class destroyers from Russia. That's a destroyer designed to counter U.S. Navy carrier battle groups. The mainland China subsequently ordered modern attack submarines like Kilo-class and the warplanes 100 Su-30s to counter the U.S. Navy's carrier battle groups. How time flies. 26 years have passed by. Today in 2022, Chinese Navy is totally different from what it was back in 1996, with the strength of 240,000 personnel, including 15,000 Marines and 26,000 Naval Air Force personnel. It is the second largest navy in the world, only behind the United States. Today, Chinese Navy now has 350 ships and submarines. In comparison, the U.S. Navy's battle force is approximately 293. On 2nd August 2022, in response to Pelosi's visit, China announced unprecedented military live-fire drills in 6 zones that encircle the Taiwan Island on the busiest international waterways and aviation routes. During the live-fire drills, China had fired 11 missiles, at least several of which were Dongfeng ballistic missiles, double the number that was fired in 1995. Would history repeat itself again, or the world is seeing a brand new story unfolding? Let's wait and see. Thank you for watching. If you like, please subscribe to my channel. Wish to see you next time.